get flip over and start going into marriage, man. We talked about relationships, but let's dive into marriage, man. Y'all married. I've been married. Um, so what what truly is marriage, right? What is marriage, right? I mean, we know we're standing at the altar before God and saying that you profess your love for this person and y'all change these vows and these rings. But for me, what marriage is goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's a complete commitment, right? A big marriage is probably one of the biggest commitments you'll ever make in your life. If not,
Mm-hmm.
besides your faith, marriage is probably the biggest commitment you can ever decide to do. And like I said earlier, marriage works. I believe in marriage. I believe marriage works and it's something great and powerful within it. So to y'all, what is marriage to y'all? Like, even in y'all current situation, like, what does that mean? What does that word marriage mean?
See here. Marriage is a covenant agreement between two people. Because you're coming together. Yes, definitely. You hope you have those three levels of love, but it's a covenant. It's a thing that you're bound to. So as the Bible says, well, what God has put together, let no man put asunder. So when you make God the center of your marriage, and we know that God is a covenant God, there are certain things that God has promised to us if we keep our relationship with Him. That comes out of it. There's benefits, there's promises. And a marriage is an example. A lot of times they say a husband loves your wife as Christ has loved the church. So it's an example of Jesus Christ's relationship with us as his people. So when we talk about marriage, it's that thing. It's give and take. We should be equally yoked, the connection and all that. But it's a covenant agreement between two people that I'm making a promise to love you for the rest of my life, to support you. That's why you say in sickness and in health. Those some people say those vows so loosely without understanding the foundational principle of them, which means if you literally get sick in your body, you can't work. You can't give me your love language. If my love language is physical touch, but you so sick in your body that I can't get that, or I can't get the quality time I want with you because you sick in your body, I made a covenant agreement to love you through this. If you lose your job and I got to hold down the whole house, now what used to be a whole 100, it's become 95, maybe 5, because I'm holding down the finances and all that. I made a covenant agreement that I'm going to love you through it. So, and I think a lot of people miss that, for richer or for poorer, if we lose everything, and I'm not just speaking hypotheticals, I've been through all of this. I know what it is to be married and to lose everything. I'm talking about the house, the car, the jobs, pretty much almost homeless, got to go stay with somebody else. I still have to love you because I made a vow. But a lot of these things are the principles on why people don't stay in their marriages. So when you look at those vows and those agreements that you making, that's why we say the work goes into it. Yeah, I love you, but we got to work our way through this.
Mm-hmm.
So marriage is truly it's all of that, and it's also an example to others in a sense to what love is, how you work through issues and problems, and some people have no idea what you go through in a marriage because on the outside, especially with social media, we see the Facebook post, the Instagram. Oh, they look so pretty. They walking in the park and all this stuff. But behind the scenes, man, you don't know. You have no
All hell
idea
done broke
what's
loose.
going on. Man, that we ain't hardly keeping none of them vows we took. But now when you look at that when I stepped to that day and looked at my wife and gave her them vows, and for me the second time around, I understood what those vows meant,
Mm-hmm.
especially from my wife. Because quick story: 3 months into our marriage, I had a major injury at work. 3 months into my second marriage. What I mean, I was burned over 70% of my body from a pipe that busted, steam, and I got the scars today to show them. Couldn't work. I was getting workers' comp, but that doesn't compare to your full salary. couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do nothing I was doing in the house. 3 months in, me and my wife had when I celebrated our 3 month anniversary. I go down for about 5 months. I told this woman that the way you stood by me and you honored those vows, sickness and health, rich or poor, held down our house, I knew right. Not saying that I didn't know she loved me, but she proved her commitment to those vows in those 5 months. Because I couldn't do nothing but lay there. She had to shower me, clean me, bandage me, because I couldn't do it myself. My strength was too messed up. So when she did that for me, she proved her. I told her, if you don't do nothing else for me for the duration of this marriage, you proved in these 5 months that you meant every word you said when we stood up there before our family, before God and everybody. Because I felt like we were tested immediately into our marriage. We were tested to see, is y'all going to honor these vows? And she was there for me. And that's why I love her so much. And truly, she's been through things to where I've been there for her. But it's like we instantly went in, boom, we finna see if rich or poor, sickness and health, if y'all real about this. And I'm looking at us 6 years later, and we still going strong from my perspective. I believe we going strong. And I just think that people don't realize the commitment that they're taking, that these just ain't words you saying, that at some point in your marriage, you're going to be tested to see if you can stand by everything that you committed to in this covenant agreement.
Yeah, I think that's great, man. That's awesome. I will second everything you said, but I also want to go to a statement you made about the husbands love your wives, and it says for wives to submit to their husbands. And I'm about to say something that might come across controversial, but I don't care. All right. One thing you got to understand about the Bible, and this is the historian in me about to come out, is that we decipher the Bible certain words, and if you go back to the Greek word in that scripture, right? You know what? When it says husband loves your wives, the Greek word really transmits to husbands submit to your wives, right? And that's why the Bible also says submit one to another. We're supposed to submit to each other. We
Absolutely.
are meant to submit, and that's what marriage is. We are to submit to each other. And so often it is wives need to be like so often it's all we need to do is love and they need to submit. No, we both need to submit. Like, we know men are the head of the household, we know, but you can't have a truly fulfilling and equal marriage if you are not willing to submit to each other, right? And that's why that's important. I think marriage is about submission. It's about that. It's about that union, that commitment, and it's about submitting because think about this. You could have said easily in your situation, Jermaine, said, you know what? I'm not. Men do this all the time. I'm a man. I'm not going to do that because I'm the man of the house. And you could have just not allowed your wife to take care of you or take care of those things. And so many men do that because I'm the man. I'm the head of the house. No, the Bible is very clear that we should submit one to another, right? It's in two different areas where it says submit one to another. And then if you go to the Greek translation of these words, both words mean to submit. That's what creates a successful marriage. The willingness of both to get out of themselves and think about the union as a union, right? Because we're one. We're one now. But so many people go into marriages still as individuals.
Wow.
Because they're not willing to submit. We're supposed to be one, but we go into marriage as individuals. And we go in with these defined roles and these defined expectations that technically, if we would have thought about those before the marriage, we probably would have never got married, right? But we go into this union. Think about it. When I look at it as a lot of marriages, the reason why we are like 50% marriage failing is because a lot of marriage go in like oil and water, right? They go in, they can never come together. They'll always be separate because they can't molecularly come together. But a marriage is supposed to be a union where you come together as one. But if you say those vows and nothing up here changes, and you're not willing to be one and to honor one another and to submit to one another, then you're going into the marriage as an individual, and it's going to fail. It's going to fail unless you find a way to mold that. So I think it's very key that we know that we have to submit to each other in a marriage. It's not one person. The only way you should be taking a lion's share of the thing, and it should be not 100, is when it needs to be, right? When somebody can't handle the burden and they need that support. You shouldn't go in that way. And so many marriages go in that way because of the individuality. If it's a union, you have to go on one accord, and you're going to differ, you're going to fight, you're going to have differences. That's not a marriage issue. That's a human issue, right? As human, that's who we are. But you have to go in like lockstep. That regardless, like Jermane said, regardless, we're gonna work this thing out together. Like we're gonna move in this thing together. But so often we go in as individuals because we are not willing to submit to one another, and I think it's critical. Yeah, I agree. And I want to go into this next section. We're going to talk about the positive sides of marriage and the dark side of marriage. And he had a good note here, like what people didn't warn you about when you go into marriage, but on the positive side. We have a family friend, and when he ever sees me, he calls me a 2-time sucker, right? He calls me a 2-time sucker. Because, like, full disclosure, I've been married twice, right? And I'm gonna be a 3-time sucker too, because I believe in the sanctity of marriage. I believe marriage works. I think there's something behind it. So the positive side for what I'm thinking about it is there's nothing like having somebody walk with you lockstep through life. Now, for an example, Keith is my twin brother. Almost every day in our life, I had somebody lockstep. Get your Beetlejuice face. I had somebody walk in lockstep with me, right? And what they created was a love, right? They created motivation. They created competition. They helped me grow. Let me just say they helped me grow. In marriage, somebody's going to come into your life, and they're going to help you grow. Being lockstep with another person that loves you and who's committed to seeing you be better in life, that, to me, in my opinion, that's probably the greatest thing in marriage, is knowing that somebody's going to be there with me, rocking with me through the highs and lows. They're going to be motivating me, pushing me. We're going to be pushing each other. And there's somebody there that's, no matter what, is going to be my support system. So I think that's one, to me, that's probably the greatest positive thing in marriage. I don't know what it is for you guys. For me, man, marriage is the one thing I like to say is that when marriage is good, it's great, right? I don't think there's a good in marriage, right? It's to wake up next to somebody who loves you unconditionally, to kiss them every morning and every evening, to be able to ask them, how was your day? What can I do for you? How can I be of service to you? To say like, you have my heart and I cherish you, is some of the greatest feelings in the world. It's just when you just in the presence of somebody and they make time stop, right? That's the positive of marriage, because you could be in relationships, you can just be like, you can go through the motions, and it's just like, I love her one day, I'm mad today, we fight another day. But even, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes even in your fights in the marriage, you be like, man, you fine, man, I love you. I mean, it is. It's like I want to be mad at you. Like, I need to be mad at you. I deserve to be mad at you. But you're like a bacon and egg sandwich. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the stuff I like. We're like I can't even stay mad at you because you just your I don't know about you. I'm gonna say this: has your wife anger turned you on though? Like it's like with that mean face she got.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, like I'm done fighting. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like it's just that having a person that you connect with on that level, right? Where it's just like I see you and I'm in awe. I see you and I want to give you the world. To me, that's the positive. That just being to wake up and say, "I love you." I get to come home and see you after work. I can see all that beauty after work. That's the positive for me. Like it's just like man, like Bernie Mac said, you look like a bacon and egg sandwich. You look good. I pay for it.
I think one of my biggest positives is when I learned to accept that my wife is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to what Keith was saying when he brought out the point in a relationship and out of a transition to marriage when somebody can not only be there to support you, but can pull you back, tell you when something's not good for you, not healthy for you. And a lot of times, I know you two are twin brothers, and I believe you two have the relationship where not only will y'all support each other, y'all will tell each other, probably not as nice, you know, I mean, it's a stupid idea.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't going to work for you, you know, to be that honest. So it's almost like y'all brothers, but y'all almost like best friends too. I don't think it's too many guys or people outside of y'all circle that's closer to y'all than y'all two. So with my wife, one of the greatest parts about marriage, I used to hear people say, "Oh, my wife is my husband, my best friend." I used to be like, nah. I used to be against that. No, my best friend is one of my boys. You know, my wife can't. That's my wife. That's my she. But I was in a situation maybe about a year ago with one of my best friends with some stuff he was dealing with, known this dude over 30 some years, and some stuff went down, and for the first time, we got into it about something because he just wasn't honest with me about some stuff. And it made me question, like, I'm out here trying to identify other people as friends when my best friend is laying right next to me every night, telling me the good, telling me the bad about me, warning me about certain situations. Because sometimes, especially us as men with our pride, as Keith said, I'm the man of the house. My wife say, "Hey, this ain't good for you to do." I'm the man. You whatever. You don't tell me what to do. I run this. Then when it blow up in my face, you got to kind of go back with that little puppy dog face, and your wife sitting there. You know, didn't I tell you? My wife has some other choice words for me, but we ain't gonna say that on here. But I had to realize that that's a great thing because she can come out of wife mode and be like, "Let me talk to you as a friend to protect you." That's supporting you and even telling you when you going into directions that ain't good for you. It's not good for our marriage. It's not good for our family. Because sometimes as men, we get so focused and our pride and our bullheadedness leads us. And to us, everything makes sense. But that wife can be that voice of reason for you when you ain't hearing nobody else. So I had to learn to take things to my wife. And there's some times when I sit with her and I be like, I don't need my wife. Sometimes your wife may spare your feelings, but I said, I need my friend. I'm thinking about doing this, and that. Tell me 100%. Keep it raw with me. What you think about this? And I'll get those. Jermane, that's stupid. Don't do this. Don't do that. And I can accept that now. Because as my wife and my friend, you're protecting me, protecting us, and protecting our family. So that's one of the biggest and greatest things about marriage. When I had to realize that, yo, this is my friend right here. Yo, this chick, yo, she real. So had to learn that, but I'm so glad that I got the message.
Yeah, so those are good, man. But let's flip it real quick, right? Let's flip it, right? So that's the positive side. We all are married or been married, but marriage doesn't always go the way you envisioned it, right? There's some things that happen and some things you run into where it's not the best side of marriage, right? So for me, our parents were never married, right? So we never had the direct vision of what marriage should be. Now we did have people in our lives where they were married, right? But when I think about those people that were married, their marriages seemed perfect, right? It seemed like they didn't have any issues, right? It seemed that way. But I didn't learn until I actually got in mine. It's a lot of it ain't all roses, bro. Now
Man.
y'all know I'm the physical person on this podcast right now, fellas. Just gotta be honest with you. You're not gonna get it like you thought you was gonna get it.
True.
Simple as that.
Facts.
Right? Like it. Get that out your head, right? You got if you go in your mind with that thought process, you're gonna be angry about that. You're gonna ruin your relationship. But another thing that I think people have to learn, that you don't learn really full throttle until you get into a marriage, is that, and you should know this already, is that you're not going to get your way all the time. Like, I think we're so used outside of when we're around our boys or certain people, we get our way, we can do certain things, we can move a certain way. You get in a marriage, oh, that stops. And then especially if y'all have kids, it's a wrap, right? So nobody ever told me that when I get in this marriage that some of the things I want to do and I want to enjoy and some of those things will have to take a back seat. And I think we get frustrated when we get a marriage and certain things have to take a back seat. But that's not the end all be all of the marriage. Just like we all said earlier, there's a give and take in a marriage, right? And if it's something that has to take a back seat, in my opinion, maybe it should. Like, if it has to take a back seat to make your marriage work, maybe it's something that probably should. So, to me, those are the dark sides of marriage. Let me not say dark side, but things that people didn't want to tell me about before getting into it, right?
You know what I'm gonna put in, man. This y'all may agree, y'all may disagree, man. But one of the things that I didn't get warned about is that there's a honeymoon period, then there's a cliff, right? There's a cliff, right? It's not like honeymoon period is gonna wane down. No, there's a point in time where you get so comfortable with each other. Right, and I think that's part of the thing when you guys say like you're not gonna get it all the time. I think that comes with that comfortability, right? But there comes a point in time where it's just all lovey dovey. So you have to work every day to keep that up, right? You go into marriage thinking it's gonna be like this. Where you at when your honeymoon and the wedding day is gonna stay there? No, if you don't keep that plane up, it's gonna crash, right? And I don't know if I was ever warned about that, like I'm probably like they say the first 6 months are great. Yeah, the first 6 months are great. Yeah. And then boom. But you have to do the work to keep that plane in the air. Right? Because at the beginning you so smitten and you so in love that plane flying on its own. But you get a point in time where you look at you're gonna have time where you look at your significant other like, I can't stand.
Yeah, we start seeing all that weed sitting on the counter every day.
Yeah,
hair everywhere. Like,
caterpillars.
Like, go get agitated.
Yeah, and so what do you do in that time? Because that time period's going to come, but your love is stronger than that, right? Your love is stronger than those bad times. But I just wish I knew that how hard of a cliff that was after that honeymoon period. Like, it's a cliff. It's like, and if you don't do the work during that honeymoon period time, which I didn't, right? Do the work during the honeymoon period time to keep that afloat and put in the necessary things to keep that boat afloat. Then like you playing catch up after that 6 months. So I just wish I knew, like, man, Keith, do the work now. It's like storing your food up for later. Like, do the work now, because it's gonna become a point in time where she ain't gonna see that sexy dude. She gonna say that fool balding. Like, you know what I mean?
It's gonna be a famine.
Yeah.
All right. So the negative I got about it, or like you said, not the dark side, but I think a lot of people don't talk about. Some people may not agree. Kids. Now, and I wasn't warned about this because I said my father died when I was 7. My mother remarried when I was like 13, had a stepfather, and I was kind of like Kevin said, looking at people married, thinking like, man, marriage is great, it's beautiful, all these people married. But one thing I wasn't told about is how kids can be a negative. Yes, kids are beautiful, creating them. I love my children. But when you make your marriage all about your kids, what do the two people have? And the reason I learned this from somebody who warned me about it. A guy I was working with was with his wife, I want to say 25 years. Him and his wife are getting a divorce. And I'm like, how? Y'all 25 years. He said, because after our kids got grown, we didn't have nothing. Our whole marriage was based off our kids. We forgot us. We went into it with us. But once we created our families and raised our kids, the kids were very active, put them through college. Now that their kids are on their own, they were left alone by themselves and realized, hey, we don't love each other. This was all based off our children. And he told me, he said, man, when you get remarried, don't base it off that. Learn how to, like Keith was saying, keep that honeymoon, keep the spice, keep this, keep all of that. Because if you base it off your kids, when them kids is gone, y'all going to be looking at each other trying to figure out, what do we really have if we built it around these children? Because all of our children are going to hopefully be on their own and be successful one day. And I can speak from my personal experience. My first marriage was based off of my kids. And it came to a point where I remember me and my ex-wife, we took an actual assessment about our marriage. And when it came to all the things we talk about that keep a marriage, love, things you agree about, finances, building stuff, communication, we scored the lowest on. But what we did score the highest on, we loved our kids. So we didn't have a marriage. We just had a roommate situation with some beautiful kids. And nobody told me that, because I'm looking at all these marriages on the outside like, man, y'all got this wonderful family. This is great. But that ain't marriage. Your kid is a part of marriage. But especially if you go into a marriage without kids, it's you and that person. But then your kids grow up and yeah, you want to raise them and do stuff. But I know that now that, you can't base your marriage off your kids. Once them kids are gone, do y'all talk? Do y'all even love each other? Or did y'all just keep this situation together? And I know some married men, some brothers that are literally in marriages right now. I had one guy tell me, as soon as my two kids graduate high school, me and my wife done. And I said, bro, y'all can't work it out? He said, no, because at this point, we all about our kids. As soon as they graduate, we could separate, divide up everything, and support our kids and co-parent. But I said, why did you stay in it then? He said, for my kids. And that baffled me, because I thought, what about the love, the covenant, the agreement? He said, we did it all for the kids. And I asked him, how did y'all get this way? He couldn't even tell me. They had some other issues going on, but I was like, why not just divide it up now? Like, why? Not that I'm advocating for that, but how do you live with a person that you don't love, but I'm going to stay with you because of the convenience of our children? It blew me. I don't think I could do it. But that's one of the, yes, kids are beautiful. And I say a lot of people may hear this, be like, man, this dude talking crazy. My kid, but I've just seen situations and I've gone through it that your marriage becomes about them, and the two people, the husband and wife, they completely lose themselves because they invested everything into the children.
Man, I'm glad you said, man, that's going to change somebody's life.
Yeah.
Because it's so true, right? That's going to change. There's going to be a couple listening to this now, and they're going to change their life and the way they look at their marriage relationship because of that. Because it's so many out there that like I'm staying in this because of the kids, and that's not a benefit to you, your spouse, or the kids. I just think it's that's gonna change somebody's life. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.